Precious Memories or at Precious Memories US. I don't know what to call this video. It's not really a review into the Starlink. It's more along the lines of like, I guess my normie guide to the Starlink, or like what I think of the Starlink, or my preferred setup for the Starlink. I'm not too sure what my name is. Let's just call it Precious Memories product review. Starlink and setup. That's probably a good way to say it. Alright, at least say it. So I'll be doing some clips throughout, but the first one is our setup from when we did our road trip, and then a setup I do for when I go international. Because this is the setup I did when I went to go visit my wife in the Philippines for my son's birthday. So the first setup you'll see is the one we did for our road trip. So for the first setup is usually the setup I have for our road trip, at least for, I want to say 2 road trips we did. It might be 1 or 2, I can't recall. When we went to my family reunion, so this is the way I had it. I wanted to make a small package that I could just pack, unload, and set up, and then repack again. It's a little messy, because I kind of just threw stuff in here recently. So how it basically goes is, when we're on our road trips, when we get a place we're going to stay for a while, I'll usually unpack things. What it usually is Starlink. The Starlink has some minor surface damage. I don't know how it got damaged in the Philippines, but it got damaged. I use a S100 solar pad. I'll unravel that later. And then I can't remember the model. It could float, but then I have this set up. So usually with this setup, if there's a wall mount, I'll usually do the wall, or not wall mount, like a wall plug. I'll do the wall plug, solar panel for extra battery power, or like powers to power the battery up. And then I usually have the Starlink set up where it's kind of optimal. I'll probably try to throw a clip into when we were in, or was it Utah? No, Colorado for our family reunion, just so you can see how I set it up. And I'll probably do like a voiceover for that one, just to talk about how well it went and how that performed. I know my family really wanted me to do like. This is kind of a clip from our Vista Verde Ranch video. I don't have a full good video that you can see of where the Starlink is set up, but I kind of drew it on this one image from our video. So when we're at this ranch, I think said it in the previous video here, but there is no internet really except for in the main lodge, which is kind of like the grand hall. So when we got to this area, I kind of tried to assess where I could set up the solar panel, the battery bank, and the Starlink. Unfortunately, there was no area where it had good sunlight, so I couldn't rely on a solar panel. There was an outside outlet, which was fine enough. So I kind of have the yellow being where electrical is, and then the red being where the EcoFlow is, and the blue being where the Starlink is in the general direction. Now, one of the things is it wasn't an ideal location, but even though it wasn't an ideal location, what really impressed me was how well it worked. And I think I mentioned in the video itself after this or before this, it had like a 90% connection rate, but even then its downtime was like only 1 minute. And so, again, everyone in my family really enjoyed it. I liked it. My wife's the only one who didn't like it, but that's because she's got a Huawei phone at the time frame. And as you can see too, it's like not ideal for the Starlink. North is basically trees, and it's it's kind of like a mountain or like a hill. It's pretty steep to begin with, so it's definitely not ideal. And then after this video, I'll show you what the like alignment shows, so you can get an idea of how it kind of looks to the Starlink of where it's at currently. And then we'll resume the video of like me kind of talking about this a little more, but just to kind of give you guys a visual of like where was that, how it was, and like why I kind of feel like it was pretty good where it was at. Even it wasn't an ideal condition, I still think it was pretty good. Review on the Starlink because they really loved it, and they kind of suggested I do a video on it because they thought it'd be a really good video to begin with. But this is kind of my setup here, how I have it. It works fairly good for like road trips or if you're to camp out. This will give you about like I want to say 10 hours of battery life because the Starlink takes between like 28 to 40 watts per hour. I find, especially depends on the performance and how bad everything is. So if it has to really perform, it'll pull the 40 watts. Usually when it's just pulling and then everyone's connected to it, it's about 28 watts. So like 5 people on a phone connected to the Starlink. That's kind of what I found. Like we'll push it up to 28 watts per hour. I think this one is a 700. Let me see how much it was. I forgot how many watts this one was. 768. So about 10 hours or less. Actually, I probably think that's about almost 10 hours. It's like 10 or 9 hours, but generally, since this sucks up so little, I think it's actually more than that. I'm not really good with math. I'll type it out, whatever the difference would be for like 28 divided by 768 watts. The solar panel itself here, it says it's 100 watts, but usually when I find its performance, it's usually around like 60 watts. Actually, we can test that out. So I'll clip this and we'll plug everything up and get it going, and you can kind of see the set. So I don't know if you can see it right now. This is actually producing, I want to say it was 73? 75 watts currently. It is the afternoon, so the solar panel, or the sun is just right above the solar panel. So that would technically produce about 75 watts per hour, but we'll probably lose quite a bit of energy when it starts getting to like 2. I find like it's kind of like it either produces between 40 or 60 watts, which is generally okay. I mean, if the Starlink's off and the battery is just only getting power, then it usually works out. But that's why I kind of like plugging it into as an additional feedback for this to fill up. And I will say for this setup, it's not bad, but it's not ideal for when you really have to like go international everywhere. Like it's not easy to carry because again, it kind of is nice to carry in just one container, but for our road trip, this was kind of what I set it up as and what I used, and I found it fairly decent for like if you're in a long-term position or like you're gonna be somewhere for a week. It's kind of a nice setup to have, and everyone liked the Starlink for sure. I know my sister, well actually I should say, the only one who had really big issues was my wife at the time frame because her phone was a Huawei, I think it's Huawei. It did not like the Starlink, but for my mom, my brother-in-law, and my wife, or not my wife, my sister, she really liked it, and my brother-in-law liked it. My mom really loved it because she's a remote worker technically, and so she has to work. And we were at the ranch, technically, like they don't have internet there, which is also why I bought a Starlink because I really like my YouTube videos. So unfortunately, oh man, so I can't live with my YouTube videos. I mean, I can technically if I had to, but I didn't want to, so I wanted the luxury to have my internet wherever I went, which was kind of a nice saving grace when we did that. What else did I say on that? But so far, overall, like it worked. I want to say like 90% of the time. It did have some downtime by like a minute, but when I show in the clip, or if you saw the clip prior, I don't know how my editing is gonna look up this. Also, sorry, this video probably is not the best, but it's kind of my video how it's going. Like it wasn't an ideal location. There's a building on the left, there's trees on the right, you've got a giant hill on your backside with trees. But even though that was a really bad location to set up the Starlink, it performed well 90%. Didn't have any issues with it at that time frame. I think the only limitations we had was my solar panel because I didn't have a long enough cable to find an ideal location. So I think in the future, if I were to do this setup again, I would get an extension cable that has a DC plug, or I think AC plug, and then have the solar panel plug in the back for that. So I can just kind of find my ideal like solar array location, set that up, run it over to the battery bank, and then the Starlink. The limitation I find with the Starlink, without probably the modem or a modem, is that you're limited to a 50 radius range. Because where I set up the Starlink in our video for the rant, everyone else had really good connections except for me, my wife. Me, I was okay with it because it worked 90% of the time. There is that 1 minute delay, which is kind of bothersome, but like tolerable. And we're on the farthest side of the cabin, and so of course that's about probably like that 50 feet range right there, because it would make it, but it was like not the best of signal, but it still worked for what it was. So I would say for sure, if you were going past 50 feet or more, then you're gonna definitely want to maybe find a modem that you really like that can project even further. Actually, I probably should test it here, but if it's in the clip, I didn't test it. If it is in the clip, then I tested how far I could go. The next setup we'll show you is that this is the one I did for when we went to the Philippines, because you know, on most airlines you can only carry a battery bank that only goes about 170 watts or higher, or lower, I should say. I think Japan Airline lowered it down to 150, so it has to be 150 and below. Preferably the lowest, the better. So that'll be kind of the next setup I'll show you, and I think I like that one more because it's a lot more portable than this is. This is good for like domestic, if you're going camping and whatnot. The other one, I'll discuss when I show you on the table here. So, alright, before I get in depth on my international setup I did for the Starlink, just want to give a size comparison of like the two. So when we did our road trip, this was kind of our domestic travel package for the Starlink. This is my international one, and so the reason why I went to a smaller battery is because you can only go travel like 170 watts. Battery bank, you're allowed to take usually two. I did not have plenty of time for two, and I had the Omni charger. I can't remember which model this was, but this is the one they did Kickstarter on at the very beginning, as like a battery backup. So one of the kind of the goals about this was basically in the Philippines. My wife's area has things called brownouts. So what a brownout is basically a city area like blackout. So the whole city isn't blacked out, or I should say like maybe province or like Boracay, I think is what it's called. The area in the city is only blacked out. And so sometimes my wife's internet goes in and out, and then it's out for like hours and hours. So this is kind of the setup I'm doing for the Philippines, and this is the one I usually do for domestic, just because when we set up, we're gonna be there for a while, and it's only like really like not like rough terrain, but anywhere where it really doesn't have a cell phone connection, this is usually the setup I have, and we'll probably be taking this with us too in our future move. And then this is like emergency backup if we go hiking, maybe. I'm not sure. But let me show you what this looks like. But as right now packed up, compared the two, this usually fits in a backpack. I mean, any backpack of any size. It's pretty about the same size of a human torso. I packed it in my backpack. I didn't have any issues going through TSA. So far, I think the only thing I really had to pull out was the battery bank. And surprisingly, in both locations, I did not get asked about the Starlink or the solar panel. So I don't think you're going to have any issues, but I've only used it once. So if someone did this exact same setup and you do have that issue, let me know in the comments because I'm curious to hear. But so far, I haven't had an issue, and I really, down the road too, what I'm going to try to do, if we have time, or like I have the money, I really want to make a custom backpack with a 3D printer that specializes on the housing and like a removable battery pack. So you can kind of make like the nice ultimate off the grid like backpack, like solar panel tracker kind of thing. That will probably be like a year or two down the road, probably 2 years down the road for sure. And then who knows, by then someone might have already done it. And if it did, just know I'm the one that threw the idea out there. It's out there in the world now because of me. Just kidding. So I'll show you what that kind of looks like set up, which is kind of nice. And I found this works pretty well. So far, I really didn't need the solar panel, but we didn't really have any brownout, so I couldn't really test it for sure. So this is my current setup for the Starlink when we're in international. One of the things about international when you fly is like technically the airlines allow you two batteries. Well, I know for Japan Airlines specifically, allow you two batteries. They have to be below 150 or I think like 120. So look into that one really quick if not. But I believe it's 150 because this is a 70, which usually passes. I know the biggest you used to be able to do was 170, but something must have happened where they stopped that. And so with this one, I made this so it's kind of easy to pack. I think in my last clip, you would have seen the size difference. Kind of set up how I had it was basically the Starlink is on the roof, the solar panel was off to the side that needed to be deployable. One of the issues I have with Omni Charge, this is the Kickstarter version. I don't know if the newer version has this issue or technology or not. but flow through. So one of the things I find is that it picks one or the other. It won't let the power from the solar panel flow through the battery bank. The battery bank distribute through the Starlink, and so you have to pick and choose. And technically, we just did the outlet, which was easy, and we didn't really have a lot of brownouts, so it wasn't really necessary. But I had the option for it. What I find with this one is that I usually only get about 2 hours battery life with it, because again, if the Starlink is pulling between like 26 to 40 watts an hour, you're only gonna get maybe about an hour and a half or 2 hours at most. So this is kind of a nice little setup. It's portable. If you're gonna set up like the internet just for a little break here and there, you have it. And then, I mean, I could have packed something bigger, so at least got 4 hours. But with the amount of power this produces when you set it up, if it's ideal like in the afternoon, you're gonna get the almost nearly 100 watts of power. And this is a 70-watt battery, so 1 hour. Set up, take a break, eat some lunch, pack it away, and move on. Um, for what I wanted to do, I really didn't need to test it, but that was the one thing I discovered. So really, what it would have been if we had a brownout, this would have been charging off the side if I didn't have it, or charging in the wall. Once the power went out, I would have switched, pull it off the wall, plugged it in, and give us at least 2 more hours of internet time until the brownout was done. And I don't remember if I described what a brownout is in the previous clip, but for Philippines, what a brownout is, it's not like a blackout where it's like whole citywide. A brownout is only located to whatever I think it's like, I want to say Burkai, but I don't think that's right. I can't remember what the technical term for like their district kind of city, but it's only regional to that part of the city. So usually when a brownout happens, it's about an hour at most, maybe like 10 minutes to 20 minutes at like minimum. So I mean, it does take a while to recover, but really for the size of the battery I need it would have worked theoretically. Did I really get a chance to test it? No, unfortunately not. But this is kind of a nice little package size setup I would take for international. Sorry, I just put it there because it's hot out here, and I had to refilm this again because my first clip didn't go really well, and it overheated. Different problem with the Insta360, which maybe I'll do a product review on the Insta360, but that's a separate talk for a different time. Turn this off too, so it's not powering the Starlink. But when you see it in general, it's kind of a nice portable sized setup. You can easily pack in a backpack where your laptop would go. So far, I haven't had any issues internationally with it. Coming back and going from the United States to the Philippines to the United States, and so forth. If you do have any instances of that, let me know, because I'm curious to see how that went, or why you got pulled over in security. But as it lies for right now, I think this is kind of a nice little setup to have. What I would recommend if you need it to do something that was portable for international and you want it to be able to charge and keep power for a while, is look for a battery bank that has flow through. I haven't done a lot of research right now just because I don't need one yet. I might have to go buy one down the road that has flow through, because I'll be going to the Philippines one more time, and then also another side trip with some friends. So I think I would like to find one that has flow through, which there's probably, again, a lot of brands that do have that capability, but they have to be below 150 watts for me. So I'll do some research, but I mean, maybe OmniCharge nowadays has one that has flow through technology, or there's always EcoFlow or Blue Eddy. I know I've seen a couple designs here and there, but I haven't looked to see if they actually have true flow through. And this thing again is like I don't know if I mentioned it, a Kickstarter OmniCharge. So this is the very first OmniCharge they ever made, and I got it off Kickstarter. So this guy kind of has some issues here and there, but he is still running good. Nothing really bothered me so far. I think though one of the batteries is going to die soon. It does give an error sometimes. The battery readout is 0 when it's actually 100% full. So say 0 wattage, but it'll be like 69, 68 watts here and there in there. It generally, when I drain it all the way and recharge it, it's usually backing up and running. But this is kind of on its end of leg, I can tell. And it's probably due time to change out too, because Kickstarter battery bank. I feel like there's some other features I'd like to talk about, but I don't know off the top of my head. Kind of freeballing this video, so sorry if this video isn't the best video out there. And I know a lot of people like to go in data depth about how the Starlink performs, what it's good at, what it isn't good at. But my takeaway, because there's tons of videos you can watch, is here's some setups I recommend if you are a normie who gets a Starlink and just wants to like make it portable or whatever your need is for domestic, international, long-term, short-term. So like this is my short-term international, and if you wanted to kind of get in that role of like mid-term to long-term, you really just got to get a battery bank with flow through. I think that would help you out the most, and also keep your load lower. Well, I should say you're gonna get added weight, but with the trade-off, you get longer run times. And the fact is, if you're just doing bursts of like you get 2 battery banks that are like 170 or 140, this can only do about an hour and a half to 2 hours if you do that, which increases it to 150 or maybe like 4 hours, 4 hours and a half. And if you get 2, then you get like almost 8 to 9 hours of run time, which again, if at night you're just relaxing, both battery banks are charged, you could probably stay up all the way till midnight, like, or not midnight, but like 4 in the morning watching YouTube videos in the middle of nowhere. And then when you start doing your hikes, you could charge it on your back or with a different panel, and then do all your stuff you want to do throughout the day, and then come back and everything's probably fully charged. I don't know how well that would work with the split on these guys, but I mean, there's alternatives, and if you have a battery bank with multiple things going on, you could probably figure out how to make that work. For me, this is kind of my general setup for international. What I would improve upon it is, again, bigger battery bank with flow through. The solar panel does its job. If I want it bigger, I probably could go bigger. But as for what this works, how this this goes for me, I think this is nice enough where it's portable. It all fits in a backpack. So far, no questions to ask when I travel through security. I think one of the things in the future I'd like to do is to make a backpack built specifically for the Starlink. Like my 3D printer. Well, it's a resin printer, but I mean down the road I'd like to do a 3D printer and then make a nice big backpack where you can kind of have it where the battery banks plug in and everything's kind of set, and it's like a little portable like satellite array, or not satellite array, satellite tracker, stuff like that. And you can just roll out the solar panel as is. If someone takes that idea and runs with it, just know I'm the one who came up with it first. I threw it out there, but again, I mean, someone probably already working on it right now, for all I know. But just know I'm the one who came up with it first, right? That was my idea. You're probably like cringe, so cringe. That's how I feel right now. But that's probably the end of this video for now. I do appreciate when you watch our videos, and if you can leave me a like or share or even comment. I mean, it helps us get our channel like a little more known. And again, I'm sorry this isn't probably the best YouTube video out there, but this is my YouTube video, and I know I kind of probably come off a little weird. Not weird, but it just feels rough. It just feels rough, and I understand in my videos it's kind of hard for me to. Some videos I can do really well, others I can't. And it feels different. But thanks again for watching this. If you watched it from start to finish, I do appreciate it. I do really appreciate you for watching our videos. I'm trying to get our channel up to 50 subscribers so we can live stream our road trip over to my mom's. That will be fun. We'll be hitting up quite a few states, and I think we'll be doing another test with the Starlink, but I don't have a mount for the truck, so it's going to probably sit on the dash. And so we'll see how that works as I use the Starlink in the truck on the dash. Most likely we'll be using the big boy down below because it's a long drive, and if I'm live streaming, I have to have a pretty good connection throughout the entire trip. Whether or not that will work, we'll find out. Again, thank you for watching Precious Memories, or Precious Memories to us. I do appreciate when you watch videos, and you guys have a great one.